Hi guys, it is me Q Talks. I'm back with another video, and this is 5 things that I have learned since leaving my job 1 year ago. It's coming up to about 1 year, exactly a year since I decided to stop working a 9 to 5 and let go of that version of myself. And there are some things that I have now learned, being able to, reflect over a year since a year has passed. And I would love to share some of those things with you guys in this video. Okay? So, this is my intro. As always, comment below. Let me know your experiences, your thoughts, or if any of this resonates with you. And yeah, enjoy the video. Number one, so the first thing that I learned, that I realized since leaving my job exactly 1 year ago. If I'm looking a bit all over the places because the sun is right there. So yeah. Um since I left my job a year ago, also there are some kids on like swinging in the background if you hear like a creaking sound. Um I realized that time is short. So you may have seen I made a video about that called Why They Say Time is Short. If you have not seen, do watch that video because it explains like my mentality towards that quote and that idea that time is short, like why we say that, as human beings. So anyway, the reason why I say I realize that time is short is because when you are working, particular when you are working full time and you're working a set schedule, maybe like a 9 to 5 or, just like a regular routine, even if it's in the evening that you are used to. It's like pattern work, I think that's what they call it. So, anyway, when you are doing that, it's funny because time feels like you always want it to pass, right? Like when you're working, when you're at work, you're looking at the clock. Sometimes you're not, and like time is flying. But when you are looking at the clock, you're like I know I just had my lunch, but I could be out of here right now. Like a few more hours until I'm out of here. So you do find yourself watching the clock. You get home, you're home for a few hours, a couple of hours, and then before you know it, you are back at work, And that within itself can kind of play with your mind because even though you're counting, for the time to pass as you're working, because, you're doing it to get your money, you may not be, passionately involved in what you're doing. Yet, as you also notice, weeks, months go by. Before you know it, it's Monday again and you're back at work. The weekend goes. So it's like, even though there's a part of you that wants time to pass so quickly, time, so that makes you feel like it's passing slowly, time is passing quickly. And when you stop working, I feel like that's when you actually realize, oh, like it's a day, a night. Like for me, I stopped working and I was still finding myself so tired every day. And I was like, I'm not even working. So, like, why am I so tired? And it's like a whole day has passed, another day, another day. And then you realize, because that's what life is, each day is a new day. The time is yours to spend as you wish. Um, and when you are working, it's very easy to lose sight of how short time is or how quickly time does fly. The second thing, number two, that I have learned since leaving my job a year ago is how intuitive I am, how naturally intuitive I am, and how much more it is so important to trust your intuition, to listen to your intuition, and how painful it is when you are ignoring your intuition, ignoring what you naturally feel is right, and ignoring your own inner workings, I guess. Because for me, everybody is different, right? So I'm talking about my own personal experience. I've always known that I wasn't destined to just work or to, even just have like a regular 9 to 5 or a regular type of job. When I say a regular type of job, I mean like a menial type of job, which is what I would consider menial. To somebody else, it could be their ideal job. For example, to be a train driver. You know, that's not my ideal job. It's not something that I ever saw myself doing. So that is an aspect of my intuition that I was even ignoring. While working and just doing what I needed to do. Also, in many ways, I wasn't able to pay attention to my intuition because of the nature of the job role, what was going on the day to day, not even doing what I would naturally do. Like, I didn't even really know what my own natural pattern of living would be without, you know, structuring it around waking up and going to work, or having to work. So, even learning that about myself, but most importantly, I say all of that to say not ignoring inner calls. Because as I was working at my workplace, what happened was that I always, in the beginning I was there and I wanted to do so well. I wanted to do so well. I wanted to do so well. I was like, please, please. So I was doing my very best. And then something kind of clicked in me. I realized that maybe that's not the case for every single person here. And then I realized, like, oh, this feels interesting. It's like maybe there's something else going on here that I'm not aware of. And I say all of that to say, before I left my job and like the months, weeks leading up to leaving my job, even though I had no issue with anybody there, I personally could not stand to be there anymore. I had so many conflicting emotions and feelings about turning up to work, you know, every day. And like what we were doing, why we were doing it. Like I was just so in my head about it. It didn't feel right. I chose to leave when I could no longer take it. And then a few months after I left, they started making people redundant. They started, letting people go. And even before I left, like lots of other people left. So it was like all these things that, were like kind of like poking me, and like I said, it's your intuition, it's your inner teacher, your inner self, your inner guide, and where it's leading you. And for me, it was leading me to get out of there. But it's like I was waiting or biding my time. I didn't want to just go. Yet when I did go, it was like it was the perfect time, because when I left, like I said, after I left, they started forcing people to go. So listen to your intuition. Three, the third reason, not the third reason, the third thing that I have learned since leaving my job a year ago. So I have learned to listen to myself and to listen to this is what I'm saying sounds similar to the previous one about your intuition. When I mean listen to myself, I mean I had learned to trust myself, because I learned that I do have a plan. I know what I want. I know what I want to do. I know how I want my life to unfold. And even if I don't have all of the answers, I know what feels right for me. So I say that to say I had certain things that I wanted to do, that I wanted to achieve, and a certain like timeline that I wanted for certain things. And when I had left my job, you know, about 6 months after I'd left my job, I remember sitting down, having some dinner that I really wanted, something that I had been meaning to do. And I remember in that moment realizing that, I do the things that I say I want to do. Like right now, I'm sitting somewhere doing what I said I wanted to do. And when I look back at the past 6 months, when I even look back at the time that I chose to leave my job, it wasn't like I would just, it was it was exactly at the time that I had already told myself when I started working there that I would want to be leaving or looking for a different position, or you know, no longer needing to work. So to be able to look back and then realize that that's exactly what I did. I left around the time, I'd been there for 2 years. I said 2 years is gonna be how long I'm gonna work here. So I left. 6 months later, I'm looking at the things that I've achieved in that 6 months, how my life has changed, how my life has progressed, how I feel about myself, what I have done for myself. And I realized that this is in line with the timeline I have for myself. So even though it feels sometimes so scary and like you're not having structure or stability by choosing to go on your own path, I trust my own path, because when I say these things are going to happen for me, I am going to do these things, lo and behold, they happen and they are done. So that's something that I realized. Four, the fourth thing that I have realized a year on from leaving my job is that I am so sweet. No, I'm joking. So sweet and sensitive and uh, sensitive. The reason I say that is because, again, I knew that something about what I was making myself do in showing up to work every day the way that I was doing did not feel right for me. It was not benefiting me. It was not benefiting my mind, my body, my soul. It was having a negative effect on me. And even though I was obviously benefiting from it in other ways, learning, growing, earning, it still did not equal, it did not feel worth what I was losing, what I felt that I was losing in doing what I was doing. I say that because when I left my job, I remember being so tired still for so long, and it shocked me. It kind of scared me because I was like, I didn't know that I felt this tired. Like, I'm not doing anything now. Like, I've stopped working. I'm waking up. I'm literally chilling like the whole day, and I'm still feeling absolutely exhausted. And I'm also feeling kind of like numb. And it's because when I was making myself work, I wasn't listening to myself, how I felt. I was numbing myself for the sake of doing what I needed to do. And the result of that was not feeling connected to myself, waking up and not knowing what I wanted to do, feeling exhausted, like feeling zero, low to no motivation, and just feeling also, out of touch with myself, not able to gauge like how to emotionally react to things, like if it was too much, too little, like what to put into my interactions. So yeah, I feel like my sensitivity is something that I've always been aware of. I've always described myself as a hypersensitive person, and it wasn't until I stopped working that I realized how true that was on so many levels, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. And the last but not least, number five thing that that I have learned. Oh, this fringe. Do we bring it to the front? Do we leave it to the back? I love this hair. So, um, I learned that, and I could have only realized this now, looking back, like especially in the last 4 months, I'd say, how bad towards the end of my time at my workplace, like before I left, you know, even before I knew that was the end of the time, let's say like the last year that I was still working there before I knew that I would be handing in my notice or, leaving a year later. Um, my mental health was not good. I, in that last year, was in a terrible place inside of myself that nobody could know about or see because I was being functional. I was working, I was fine, like on the outside. I don't believe I myself even knew at that time um, that my mental health was actually in a crisis. Um, but there were signs, and I was making decisions that I wouldn't usually make, like more risky decisions, if that makes sense, or choosing to entertain um, even like interactions that I would not go for because I was at a loss. That's what I'd say. I'd say I was at my wit's end with how numb I felt inside. Like I know it sounds extreme, guys, so don't I wasn't doing anything like extreme, but my point is that maybe if time had continued, maybe I could have been. Maybe I could have entertained it because I was so disconnected from myself, from my own thoughts, from my own desires and what I want to think. Does that make sense? I was not thinking what I want to think. So therefore, even though I thought my thoughts were mine, my choices were mine, they were not the purest reflection of me. Arrested me a well nourished me, a at ease me, and a calm me would not have made some of the choices, decisions that I did at that time. And like I said, even when I look back at the pictures of myself, I can see in the pictures that I was not mentally okay. Like I was not, I was presenting myself as okay and fine, even, and even thriving, even. But actually, underneath that, there was a crisis. There was a crisis building, with each day, to the point where I could not work anymore, where I got to that point where I had to stop. So, yeah, I say all of that to say number 5, I think, is one of the most important ones, and all of the other points are important as well. But your mental health is something that when you feel like you don't even have the time to check in with it or consider it, or you feel like it's not a priority, that's when it's actually at a risk level, you know, or beginning to be at a risky level. That's something to consider and to be aware of, because that was the experience for me anyway. Thank you for listening to my video. This is a little bit of a different format than I have done, filming an intro and an outro. But I'm happy with this video. It's something that I was thinking about, that I was feeling to make, and I'm glad that I was able to come into the park and make it today. So I hope you guys enjoy, watching this, and I hope it helps anybody who may be in the same place, considering the same things, having gone through similar or the same things, or going through that, now. That's what this platform is all about, connecting us, reminding us that this is a shared experience, and that, you know, we can trust ourselves and we have what it takes. So, yeah, I love you guys. Until the next one, take care.